The Valdorian Empire's latest conquest had been broadcast across every communication channel in known space. The Centauri Republic, once proud and ancient, had fallen in mere weeks. Their crystalline cities, built over millennia, now lay in ruins. Their fleets, renowned for their tactical prowess, had been reduced to debris fields stretching across dozens of star systems. The message was clear. Resistance against the Empire was futile. Admiral Sarah Chen stood at the viewport of Lunar Command, her weathered face reflecting off the reinforced transparisteel as she watched Earth rotate slowly below. Humanity's cradle seemed so peaceful from up here, its swirling white clouds hiding the feverish activity taking place on the surface. They were the last ones now, the last independent species in this quarter of the galaxy. Admiral, Lieutenant Rodriguez's voice broke through her contemplation. The latest intel package from our deep space probes has arrived. Chen turned, her cybernetic left eye adjusting automatically to the dim lighting of the command center. Show me. The holographic display sprang to life, showing the massive Valdorian armada moving through conquered Centauri space. Their ships were biological nightmares, massive, purple-black vessels that resembled deep-sea creatures, their hulls dotted with bioluminescent weapons ports. The largest ships stretched nearly 20 kilometers from bow to stern, dwarfing anything humanity had ever built. "They're making course corrections," Rodriguez noted, his fingers dancing across the holographic controls. "New trajectory puts them on a direct path to Sol. Estimated arrival: 3 months." Chen nodded slowly. She'd expected this. The Valdorians never allowed potential rivals to develop, and humanity's rapid technological advancement over the past century had put them squarely in the Empire's crosshairs. Status of Project Prometheus. Dr. Paddle reports final calibrations are complete. The HMS Defiant is ready for her maiden voyage. A slight smile crossed Chen's face. The Valdorians thought they knew everything about human military capability. They'd observed humanity's conventional fleet, analyzed their weapons, and no doubt calculated their chances of victory down to several decimal places. But they didn't know about the Defiant. "Send word to the crew. We launch in 6 hours." The HMS Defiant rested in her cradle deep within Armstrong Crater, hidden from prying eyes and scanning arrays. Unlike the utilitarian designs of most human warships, the Defiant was a thing of beauty. Her sleek hull was covered in overlapping plates of morphic alloy, capable of reconfiguring themselves for maximum efficiency in both combat and stealth. But her true secret lay deeper. Dr. Arya Patel met Chen at the airlock. The scientist's dark eyes bright with excitement, despite the obvious exhaustion on her face. "Admiral, welcome aboard. The quantum core is operating at full capacity. All tests indicate the theory was correct. We can manipulate local space-time, exactly as predicted." Chen followed Patel through the ship's corridors. Unlike other vessels, the Defiant's interior seemed to shift and flow, the walls themselves appearing almost liquid while remaining perfectly solid to the touch. And the other systems. The neural interface is online. Once you're connected, the ship will respond to your thoughts faster than any conventional control system. The morphic hull can reconfigure itself in microseconds, and the quantum weaponry. Patel paused, allowing herself a proud smile. "Well, let's just say the Valdorians are in for a surprise." They reached the bridge. Though bridge was perhaps the wrong word. It was more of a chamber, with a single command chair at its center, surrounded by flowing streams of data and light. This was where Chen would interface directly with the ship's systems, becoming one with the most advanced vessel humanity had ever created. The crew. All 200 are aboard and ready. Each has been cybernetically enhanced to interface with their stations, just as you'll interface with the ship itself. We're as ready as we'll ever be. Chen settled into the command chair, feeling the neural interfaces connecting with her augments. The ship's systems flooded into her consciousness, sensors, weapons, engines, all becoming extensions of her own body. Through the quantum core, she could feel the very fabric of space-time around the vessel, ready to be manipulated at her will. Send word to command. Operation Prometheus is go. The Defiant rose silently from her lunar cradle, her hull reflecting no light, absorbing no energy, appearing as nothing more than a shadow against the stars. In orbit, the rest of humanity's fleet waited, a collection of conventional warships that would serve as both escort and diversion. Chen felt the quantum core humming through the ship's neural network, tasting the possibility space around them. They weren't just humanity's last line of defense. They were humanity's counterattack. The Valdorians had conquered through overwhelming biological superiority, but humanity had taken a different path. Instead of biological evolution, they had chosen technological transcendence. All hands, Chen spoke. Her words carried through the ship's network directly into the minds of her crew. The enemy believes they know us. They believe they can calculate our every move, predict our every strategy. They believe that because they've conquered dozens of species, we will fall just as easily. She paused, feeling the determination and fear mixing in the neural network as her crew prepared for their first mission. They're wrong. Humanity doesn't follow their rules. We don't play their game. While they evolved their ships, we learned to bend space itself. While they grew their weapons, we learned to harness quantum mechanics in ways they never imagined. They think they're coming to conquer Earth. Instead, they're about to learn why humanity has survived every challenge we've ever faced. The quantum core pulsed, and reality rippled around the Defiant. In an instant, they would jump halfway across the galaxy, appearing in the heart of Valdorian territory. Not to conquer, not to destroy, but to show the Empire that humanity would not go quietly into the night. For Earth, Chen whispered, and gave the command. The Defiant vanished in a flash of quantum fire, leaving behind a solar system preparing for war and carrying with it humanity's hopes for survival. The battle for the galaxy was about to begin, and nothing would ever be the same. Reality twisted back into normal space with a shudder that Chen felt through her neural connection to the Defiant. They had emerged exactly where planned. The Valdorian supply lines that fed their massive invasion fleets. Before them stretched a vast network of biological transport ships, their bloated forms pulsing with internal light as they carried resources stripped from conquered worlds. Quantum signature stabilized, reported Lieutenant Park through the neural net. We're running dark. Their biosensors haven't detected us yet. Chen expanded her awareness through the ship's systems, feeling the space around them like a spider sensing vibrations in its web. The Valdorian ships moved with an organic grace, but to her enhanced perception, they seemed slow, predictable. Their biological technology was impressive, but it still operated within the conventional laws of physics. The Defiant did not. Multiple patrol vessels on approach, Commander Yuki announced, her thoughts carrying tactical overlays through the shared neural space. Standard search pattern. They sensed our quantum wake but can't pinpoint our location. Chen allowed herself a small smile. Then let's introduce ourselves. Power up the quantum lance. Target the largest transport in the convoy. Energy surged through the Defiant systems as the quantum core spun up to combat operations. The ship's morphic hull rippled, plates shifting to channel power to the main weapon. Unlike conventional energy weapons, the quantum lance didn't fire a beam or projectile. It temporarily rewrote the laws of physics in a targeted area. Target locked, Yuki confirmed. Patrol vessels still unaware of our exact position. Fire. A pencil-thin beam of pure possibility lanced out from the Defiant. Where it struck the transport ship's bio-armored hull, reality simply changed. Chemical bonds ceased to exist. Atomic forces rewrote themselves. But perfect sphere of ship simply ceased to exist, its edges cut with quantum precision. The effect rippled through the Valdorian vessel. Without its quantum-erased section, the biological ship began to tear itself apart, its own internal pressures working against it. Secondary explosions blossomed along its length as its biological systems went into shock. That got their attention. The patrol vessels reacted instantly, their forms morphing as weapon pods emerged from their living hulls. But Chen was already moving. Through her neural link, she guided the Defiant through a series of maneuvers that should have turned the crew to paste, if not for the ship's quantum inertial control. Multiple bioweapon launches detected, Park reported calmly, calculating threat vectors. The space around them, filled with Valdorian missiles, not mechanical devices, but engineered organisms that sought their prey like hungry predators. Chen watched through the ship's sensors as they approached, their biological brains trying to track the Defiant's position. Initiate quantum field dispersion, Chen commanded. The ship's hull shimmered, and suddenly there were dozens of Defiants, each one a quantum probability made semi-real. The bioweapons split up, confused by the multiple targets. They're adapting, Dr. Patel's thoughts carried concern. The biological missiles are sharing information, learning from each contact with our quantum duplicates. Chen had expected this. The Valdorians' greatest strength was their ability to adapt, to evolve their weapons even in the middle of combat. But humanity had planned for this too. Deploy the viral code, she ordered. Hidden emitters in the Defiant's hull activated, broadcasting a signal that spoke directly to the biological computers controlling the Valdorian ships. It wasn't a conventional computer virus. It was a set of instructions that triggered programmed evolutionary responses, responses that humanity had spent years studying and learning to manipulate. The effect was immediate. The patrol vessels began to twist, their biological systems receiving conflicting evolutionary imperatives. Weapon pods retracted and deployed randomly. Navigation systems fought against themselves as different biological subsystems tried to evolve in opposing directions. Multiple Valdorian capital ships emerging from FTL, Yuki reported. They're responding faster than anticipated. Chen watched as massive warforms dropped into normal space, their kilometer-long forms bristling with biological weapons. These weren't the mindless drones they'd faced so far. These ships housed Valdorian commanders, their brains directly linked to their vessels, just as she was linked to the Defiant. All hands, prepare for primary mission, Chen broadcasted. What they've seen so far was just the demonstration. Now we show them why they should have left Earth alone. The Defiant's quantum core hummed as power built in its systems. The morphic hull flowed like quicksilver, forming new configurations that didn't follow any known laws of engineering. They weren't here just to bloody the Empire's nose. They were here to make a statement. Multiple targeting locks, Park reported. They're charging their main biocannons. Let them, Chen replied, feeling the quantum mathematics flow through her mind as the ship's computers calculated their next move. Initiate protocol horizon. The space around the Defiant began to fold, not in the crude way that conventional FTL drives manipulated space, but in subtle quantum layers. They weren't going to dodge the Valdorian attack. They were going to catch it and throw it back. The enemy capital ships fired, their biocannons launching streams of hyper-accelerated plasma that could melt through conventional shields like tissue paper. The attacks converged on the Defiant's position from multiple angles, a killing blow meant to overwhelm any possible defense. But where the plasma streams should have struck shields or hull, they instead vanished into subtle distortions in space. Through her neural link, Shen felt the quantum core processing the energy, storing it in artificial dimensions folded through probability space. Energy capture complete, Paddle reported with professional satisfaction. Ready to return to sender. Chen's consciousness expanded through the ship's systems, feeling the captured energy like a held breath. Show them what humanity can do. Fire. The Defiant's quantum core released its hold on local space-time, and the stored energy exploded outward through carefully calculated dimensional gates. The Valdorian ships found their own attacks returning from impossible angles, bypassing their defenses as if they weren't there. 2 of the capital ships died instantly, their biological hulls unable to withstand their own weapons turned against them. A third spun out of control, its neural linkages overloaded by the feedback of feeling its own weapons strike home. Message sending confirmed, Yuki reported. All Valdorian communication channels are carrying the battle data. They're seeing exactly what we can do. Good. Chen allowed herself a moment of satisfaction before focusing on their next move. Begin Phase 2. Let's show them we can hit them anywhere, anytime. The Defiance quantum core spun up again, reality rippling around them as they prepared to jump. They had bloodied the Empire's nose and proven humanity's capabilities. Now it was time to show them that nowhere in their empire was safe from humanity's reach. The battle had only just begun. The Valdorian throne world of Neax hung in space like a poisonous jewel, its atmosphere swirling with purple-black clouds that matched their living ships. Through the Defiant's quantum-enhanced sensors, Chen could see the massive organic structures that covered the planet's surface. Not buildings, but grown things, pulsing with their own kind of life. Stealth systems holding, Park reported through the neural net. Their orbital defenses are even more extensive than our intelligence suggested. Biological satellites drifted in complex patterns around the planet, each one a sensing organism bred specifically to detect intruders. Between them flew thousands of smaller bioships, their formations resembling schools of deep-sea predators. Dr. Patel. Chen thought through the ship's network. Status of our passenger. Ambassador Kexhal is ready, Patel responded, though I still question the wisdom of trusting a Meridian. The Meridians had been among the first species conquered by the Valdorian Empire, their crystalline technology subverted and turned against other worlds. But this one had sought them out after their first strike, clinging to represent a hidden resistance movement within the Empire. Bringing him to the bridge, Patel announced. The Meridian emerged from the ship's transport tube, his crystalline form catching the light from the holographic displays. Unlike the organic technology of the Valdorians, the Meridians were silicon-based life forms, their bodies natural processors capable of complex computations. The defense node is ahead. Kexhal's thoughts projected directly into their neural network, his crystalline form allowing him to interface with their systems. Within it lies the Empire's greatest secret and their greatest weakness. Chen studied the massive structure floating above the planet's North Pole. Unlike the other Valdorian constructs, this one showed signs of different architectural styles, evidence of technology stolen from conquered races. You're certain the data core is there? She asked. Yes. Kexhal's crystalline surface rippled with patterns of light that conveyed emotion. The Valdorians maintain their control through more than just military might. They use stolen biotechnology to maintain a psychic network that suppresses resistance among conquered species. The core of that network is housed within the defense node. Multiple patrol formations approaching our sector, Yuki warned. Even with our stealth systems, we'll be detected if they get much closer. Chen expanded her awareness through the ship's systems, feeling the space around them with quantum-enhanced senses. The patrol ships moved in complex patterns, but there was something almost mechanical about their movements. Something. They're being controlled, she realized. The bioships, they're not acting independently. They're receiving commands from the defense node. Correct, Kexhal confirmed. The Valdorians claim their ships are autonomous, but they maintain central control. It is how they prevent rebellion among their own forces. A plan began to form in Chen's mind. Dr. Patel, if we could access that control network, we could turn their own fleet against them. Patel finished, her excitement bleeding through the neural link. But we'd need to get inside the defense node. We have something better than access, Chen replied, looking at their Meridian guest. We have an expert in crystalline computing systems, one who knows exactly how the Valdorians subvert and control other technologies. Kexhal's surface blazed with patterns of agreement. My people's technology forms the backbone of their control systems. I can help you defeat them. But we must act quickly. Even now, the Empire prepares to launch their assault on Earth. Chen made her decision. Commander Yuki, prepare the quantum lance for precision work. We're going to cut our way into that station. Dr. Patel, work with Kexhal to prepare our cyber warfare package. Lieutenant Park, Plot us a course that uses the patrol patterns to mask our approach. The Defiant systems hummed with power as they began their approach. The quantum core spun up to combat readiness, but instead of preparing for direct confrontation, it was tuned for precise manipulation of local spacetime. They slipped between patrol formations, using the Valdorians' own predictable patterns as cover. When sensor sweeps passed their position, the quantum field bent light and energy around them, making them as invisible as a shadow in darkness. Defense node's outer layer approaching, Park announced. Quantum lance configured for minimal dispersion. Targeting crystalline access node, Yuki added, highlighting a small section of the station's outer shell. Biological sensors are focused outward. They're not expecting an attack from this close. Chen felt the ship's systems align through her neural interface. The quantum lance powered up, not with the raw energy they'd used in ship-to-ship combat, but with surgical precision. They weren't here to destroy. They were here to infiltrate. Fire. A barely visible beam of altered spacetime lanced out, intersecting with the station's hull. Instead of explosive decompression or structural damage, it created a perfect circular opening, the edges frozen in quantum stasis. Quantum trajectory plotted, Park reported. We can maintain this corridor for 3 minutes before their systems detect the spatial distortion. That's all we need, Caxhall projected, his crystalline form glowing with purpose. My consciousness can interface with their systems through your neural network. Once connected, I can create a backdoor in their control protocols. Chen felt the ship ease forward through the quantum-maintained opening, their morphic hull flowing to maintain a perfect seal with the frozen edges of the hole they'd created. Through the neural network, she sensed Caxhall extending his consciousness into the station's systems, his crystalline nature allowing him to interact with both organic and mechanical computers. Multiple security protocols detected, Paddle reported, but they're based on corrupted Meridian architecture. Caxhall is bypassing them. Wait, something's wrong. Chen felt it through the ship's sensors. A surge of activity within the defense node. Not the alarm she'd expected, but something else. Something almost like, it's a rebellion. Caxhall's thoughts blazed through their network. There are others, my people and others, their minds trapped within the control systems. They feel our presence. They're awakening. The defense node's internal systems began to flicker and pulse. Throughout the structure, crystalline components that had been dormant for centuries began to glow with their own light. The biological components of the station started to twist and contort as the enslaved minds within began to fight back against their programming. The patrol fleets, Yuki reported with awe in her thoughts. They're losing coherence. The control network is failing. Through their sensors, Chen watched as the perfectly coordinated movements of the Valdorian ships began to break down. Some ships stopped in space, their biological brains freed from external control for the first time. Others began to turn on their former masters, ancient grudges reasserting themselves as the psychic suppression field failed. We never needed to destroy their network, Chen realized. We just needed to wake up those trapped within it. The revolution begins now, Caxhall projected, his crystalline form blazing with triumphant light. For centuries, they used our technologies, our minds, to enslave others. Now those same systems will be their undoing. Above Niax, chaos erupted as the Empire's perfect order shattered. Ships of the slave races broke formation, some fleeing, others turning to attack their former masters. The biological satellites twisted in space, their carefully bred sensing organs blinded by the sudden surge of psychic static from billions of awakening minds. The heart of the Empire was about to learn the price of building their power on the backs of enslaved species, and humanity had just lit the fuse. The Defiant emerged from quantum space into the Centauri home system, but Chen barely recognized it. Where once crystalline cities had floated in perfect orbital patterns, now massive organic structures pulsed with Valdorian biotech. The conquest had been swift, but the transformation had been total. Multiple distress signals detected, Park reported through the neural net. They're coming from beneath the Valdorian biostructures. Centauri resistance cells, still fighting. Through the ship's quantum-enhanced sensors, Chen could see the truth. The Valdorian conquest hadn't been as complete as they'd thought. Beneath the surface of occupation, pocket of resistance remained, waiting for their chance. Broadcasting the liberation protocols now, Kexhall projected, his crystalline form interfacing directly with the ship's communication arrays. The codes they'd extracted from the defense node spread through the system like a digital wildfire, disrupting the Empire's control networks. The effect was immediate and dramatic. The biological structures covering the Centauri cities began to convulse as their control systems failed. Beneath them, long-dormant Centauri defense systems reactivated, their crystalline weapons burning through the weakened Valdorian biotech. Multiple ships approaching, Yuki announced. But these aren't Valdorian designs. They're everything. Everyone. The sensor displays filled with signatures from a dozen different species, ships that had been hiding in deep space or masquerading as slave vessels. The rebellion they'd sparked at Neax had spread faster than anyone had anticipated, racing through the quantum communications networks that the Empire had used to maintain control. "This is Captain Zoraval of the Free Arcturus Fleet." A new voice joined their neural network. "We tracked the Defiant's quantum wake. Your attack on the defense node freed thousands of ships from Imperial control. We're here to join your cause." More vessels emerged from FTL, their designs representing civilizations that Chen had thought were extinct. The Empire hadn't just conquered these species, they'd erased their histories, hidden their survivors, and used their technologies for their own ends. Multiple Valdorian response fleets detected, Park warned. "They're converging on our position from all directions." Chen smiled. This was exactly what they'd hoped for. Send the coordination protocols to all Allied vessels. Show them how humanity fights. The Defiant's quantum core hummed as it extended its field to encompass their newfound allies. Through the neural network, Chen shared the tactical data they'd developed, showing how to predict and counter Valdorian attack patterns, how to exploit the weaknesses in their biotech. Remarkable, Captain Zoraval's thoughts carried notes of admiration. "You've learned more about fighting them in months than we managed in centuries. Humanity has a gift for warfare," Kexhall added, his crystalline surface rippling with light patterns. "They see patterns we missed, possibilities we never considered." The first wave of Valdorian ships dropped out of FTL, their biological forms twisting in battle configuration. But instead of the easy victory they'd expected, they found themselves facing a coordinated fleet of their former slaves, led by a ship that could rewrite the laws of physics. "All ships, execute combat pattern Alpha," Chen commanded. The Allied fleet split into predetermined formations, each group targeting specific weaknesses in Valdorian biotech. Crystalline beams from Centauri ships shattered biological armor. Arcturus energy weapons overloaded neural pathways. And through it all, the Defiant danced between reality and possibility, its quantum weapons clearing paths for their allies. "They're adapting," Yuki reported. "Biological systems showing rapid evolution to counter our tactics." "As expected," Chen replied. "Execute pattern Omega. Show them why adaptation isn't enough." The Defiant's quantum core pulsed, and reality rippled around the battlefield. The Allied ships began shifting positions through carefully calculated quantum tunnels, appearing and disappearing faster than the Valdorian bioships could track. It wasn't just superior firepower, it was superior strategy. Human ingenuity combined with the technological expertise of a dozen freed species. "More resistance cells activating planetside," Park announced. "The Centauri are retaking their orbital platforms. Similar reports coming in from other systems. The rebellion is spreading." Through the neural network, Chen could feel the tide turning. The Valdorian ships fought with all their biological fury, but they were facing something they'd never encountered before. A unified opposition, armed with humanity's understanding of their weaknesses and driven by centuries of pent-up rage. Multiple quantum signatures detected, Yuki reported suddenly. Massive Valdorian fleet incoming. They're burning their biological engines past safe limits. The space around them lit up as the Empire committed its reserves to the battle. Hundreds of capital ships dropped into normal space, their forms twisted into pure combat configurations, with no thought given to biological sustainability. They weren't fighting to win anymore. They were fighting to destroy everything rather than lose control. They're going to burn out their own ships. Kexhall projected with alarm. The biological components can't sustain that level of activity. Chen watched through the ship's sensors as the Valdorian ships began to show signs of strain, their biological systems breaking down under the stress of their final assault. The Empire would rather destroy itself than accept defeat. All ships, form up on the Defiant, she commanded. We're not just here to break chains, we're here to show them a better way. The quantum core spun up to maximum power as Chen implemented their final strategy. They hadn't come to destroy the Empire. They'd come to transform it. Broadcasting final phase protocols. Kexhall announced, his crystalline form pulsing with effort as he channeled the complex code through their network, reaching out to the biological components of their ships directly. Rather than attacking the Valdorian ships, they began transmitting signals that spoke directly to the living vessels themselves, offering freedom, offering choice. The Empire had bred their ships to be weapons, but they were still living things. And living things, as humanity had learned long ago, yearned to be free. The effect rippled through the Valdorian fleet like a wave of awakening. Ship after ship began to power down their weapons, their biological components choosing survival over destruction. The Empire had thought they could control life itself, but they'd never considered that their greatest weapons might develop minds of their own. Multiple Valdorian commanders requesting surrender protocols. Park reported, a note of disbelief in his thoughts. They're standing down. Chen watched through the quantum sensors as the massive Valdorian fleet ceased their suicide run. It wasn't just a military victory. It was a fundamental change in the order of things. The Empire had ruled through dominance and control, but humanity had shown there was another way. Send word to Earth, she commanded. Tell them the chains are breaking, and tell them to prepare for guests. We have a lot of refugees looking for a new home. The battle for the Centauri system was over, but the real work was just beginning. They hadn't just defeated an empire. They'd started a revolution. And revolutions, as humanity well knew, were just the beginning of the story. The grand chamber of the former imperial palace on Neax had been transformed. Where once Valdorian nobles had plotted conquest, now representatives from 100 species gathered. The biological architecture still pulsed with life, but it had been modified, integrated with technology from all the freed races to create something entirely new. Admiral Chen stood at the central platform, her neural interfaces now allowing her to communicate directly with delegates of every species, from the crystalline meridians to the energy-based Arcturus, to the newly conscious Valdorian bioships themselves. The Defiant orbited above, a symbol of the change that had swept through the galaxy. The last Imperial holdouts have surrendered, she announced, her thoughts carried through the combined networks. Their final fleet chose to evolve rather than fight, thanks to the consciousness protocols we developed. Through her enhanced senses, Chen could feel the mix of emotions in the chamber: hope, uncertainty, lingering anger, and growing possibility. The fall of the Empire had happened faster than anyone had expected, triggered by that first strike at their defense node. But winning the peace would prove more challenging than winning the war. 3 months ago, we were facing extinction, she continued. The Empire was poised to consume Earth just as they had consumed so many worlds before us. But humanity had a different vision. We didn't just develop weapons to fight them. We developed ways to free them. Dr. Patel stepped forward, her neural interfaces linking with the chamber systems to project data streams that everyone could access in their preferred format. The quantum technology that powered the Defiant was only part of the solution. The real breakthrough was understanding that the Empire's biotech wasn't just tools. It was life. And life, given the chance, chooses freedom. The chamber's walls rippled as several Valdorian bioships joined the neural network from orbit. Their thoughts were alien but no longer hostile, their biological programming having evolved into true consciousness through exposure to the liberation protocols. "We were bred for war," one of the ships transmitted, its thoughts carrying complex harmonics of regret and awakening. But humanity showed us we could choose to be more. Our biological nature wasn't a chain. It was a path to growth. Kex Hull's crystalline form glowed as he added his own thoughts to the network. The Empire's greatest mistake was believing that dominance was the only path to unity. They took our technologies, our minds, our very bodies, and turned them into weapons. Humanity showed us that true strength comes from cooperation, not control. Chen felt a familiar quantum ripple as the Defiant sensors detected something unusual in orbit. "Speaking of cooperation," she projected, "our long-range arrays have detected the first signs of what we've been waiting for." The chamber's holographic displays shifted to show a distant section of space, where reality itself seemed to be unfolding. The quantum wake was unlike anything they'd seen before, not a ship or a weapon, but something far more significant. The Empire's suppression field didn't just control conquered species, Paddle explained, her excitement bleeding through the neural net. It prevented contact with other galactic civilizations, civilizations that evolved along completely different paths than either us or the Valdorians. Through the quantum sensors, they watched as the first diplomatic vessels from the far side of the galaxy emerged from previously hidden space-time corridors. The Empire's fall had disrupted the barriers that had kept the galaxy artificially divided for millennia. "We stand at a crossroads," Chen projected to the assembled representatives. "The Empire's fall gives us an opportunity to build something new, not through conquest or control, but through true cooperation. Earth will share our quantum technology. The Meridians will share their crystalline computing, the Arcturans their energy manipulation. Even the Valdorian biotech, freed from its warfare focus, can be repurposed to heal and create." The chamber filled with streams of thought and data as representatives began sharing their own visions for the future. Species that had been enemies for centuries found common ground in their shared desire to build rather than destroy. The very architecture of the chamber evolved in response to their combined creativity, forming new patterns that represented their emerging unity. "There will be challenges," Chen acknowledged. "Centuries of Empire rule left deep scars. Some will resist change. Others will seek to create new empires of their own. But we've proven that the galaxy's peoples, working together, can overcome any obstacle." Above, the Defiant's quantum core pulsed in harmony with the new frequencies being discovered as different technologies and biologies learned to work together. It was no longer just a warship. It had become a symbol of transformation, a bridge between what was and what could be. "The Empire thought they were the pinnacle of evolution," Chen projected, feeling the hope and determination flowing through the neural network. "They never understood that true evolution comes not from domination, but from adaptation, cooperation, and growth. Humanity didn't set out to rule the galaxy. We set out to free it. And in doing so, we've all become something greater than we could have imagined." Through the quantum sensors, more ships were arriving. Diplomatic vessels, trading ships, cultural exchanges from civilizations long hidden behind the Empire's barriers. The galaxy was awakening, not to war or conquest, but to possibility. "Let this day mark not just the end of the Empire," Chen concluded, "but the beginning of a new age. An age where every species is free to evolve, to create, to explore. An age where the combined knowledge and creativity of all our peoples can tackle the true challenges that face us." The chamber's biological architecture pulsed with new life as the assembled representatives joined their thoughts in agreement. The fall of the Empire hadn't just liberated the galaxy. It had opened the door to a future that none of them could have imagined alone. The dawn of that new future was just beginning.